Okay, we are on the east side of the house. We're behind the fence. We're going to go around the house counterclockwise. So we're behind the fence. We got some high soil conditions here. We should have about 6 inches of foundation perimeter that's visible to us. We got brick, and then we got fiberboard siding on our fireplaces. Okay, now up there you see that wing coming off that metal flashing. That's generally considered a kick out. But it doesn't really, it's not that effective. The kick out should be brought down to the corner because the code says where the wall intersects with the drainage plane. That's not where the wall is intersecting with the drainage plane, okay? This is where the wall intersects with the drainage plane. Code also says all these metal plates up here, flashing plates, we need those, we want those. They take water away from our structure, they protect our house. But they're supposed to be bent inwards, and they're supposed to be closed, and they're supposed to be sealed with mastic sealer. They're supposed to be made tight. Wind-driven rain can get up in there. The water can curl up to 3 inches, so we should have kick-out flashing here, and all this flashing should have been tidied up and brought in. Now, watch your head over here. This is not quite 6 foot 10 inches, but that's the design of this house. So, I mean, it kind of is what it is, and some things have changed. Now, paving stones are beyond the scope of this inspection, but I'm just here to say that these paving stones are not dimensionally uniform. So if you bring your grandmother over here and show her the house or whatever, you might want to grab her by the arm and just kind of help her along, because it's for my client is a strapping young mountain goat, so he can just prance all around here. But older geriatric folks, like, I'm not going to include myself to that group. Just, yeah, I would like it to be more uniform. The sliding glass doors do not have screens installed on them. This one has a kind of a threshold that was added. I'm not sure what that piece was for, but this is the track where the screen would run in. We don't have that track over there. It's just a leftover door transition piece. I don't know. I'll put it back where I found it. How about that? There you go. Put it back where you found it. Where do termites live? In the ground. Oh. What do they eat? Dead wood. Yeah. What's wood mulch? Dead wood on the ground next to your house? That's called a clue. That's called a clue. That's conducive to wood-destroying insects, termites. I get it. You know, I've got wood mulch next to my house too. I can't talk my wife out of it. I get it. I get all that. But that is conducive to wood-destroying insects. Another feature, the high soil is conducive to wood-destroying insects as well. This foundation, we've got a slab foundation, okay, concrete slab foundation. And around its perimeter we have a parge coat. It's like a cake frosting, and so it's an aesthetic, okay, cosmetic type, you know, cake frosting, for lack of a better word. So if you see some little cracks in this, that does not mean your foundation is cracked. See that crack right there? See that crack right there? It does not mean your foundation is cracked. And just because you don't see a crack, it doesn't mean your foundation is not cracked either. The parge coat and the foundation move at different rates. Okay, the you know, physical properties, the siding, the brick, and the foundation, and the parge coat, all expand and contract, you know, due to the weather and the environment and that kind of thing, moisture, la da 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 da. So now I have to call this parge coat conducive by design, but conducive to wood-destroying insects, because this coat will make a void. Okay, because it's moving at different rates than the actual foundation, and it creates little voids that termites can use to take advantage of that space, because that's the way they're raised. They're blind. Okay, they've been around millions of years before we ever showed up, and they'll be around millions of years after we go away. So they're a lot longer than, a lot more, you know, they've developed a system, and even though they're blind animals, they know how to navigate, and what they do is like to navigate where they can't be seen. They've learned to do that. So they would take advantage of the voids inside of this. And so that's why that is conducive to wood-destroying insects. Does it mean you got to rip it all off? No, it doesn't mean you're going to rip it all off. It's just educating you about how the ways of the world. Coming along here, speaking of ways of the world, our light fixtures should be sealed where they're attached. That paint pretty much seals that one. But we should have in-use covers for our electric receptacle outlets. An in-use cover, yeah, like a bubble cover, you know, so that you can plug this in. As it is, that was okay once upon a time, but as it is now, you plug this in for your Christmas lights, and it rains, and the water gets in there. So that's why you're supposed to have the in-use covers. Like I said, it looks like a little bubble that goes over it. All right. Now another thing about this, and it's about the entire house. No GFCI on the exterior. No GFCI on the exterior. No GFCI in the kitchen. No GFCI. Now over here on our patio, now again, in the 70s it was different, but our patio posts do not have stands installed underneath them. By today's standards, we have a metal stand that picks this up off the concrete so that moisture doesn't wick off of the concrete up into the cellulose material, okay, and it doesn't, wick up and cause wood damage. And we come along here, and if we follow this along, see this joint? Okay, so that's a nice strong joint to hold this beam up, okay? But it's moved after some while, and we've added these little angle irons in here, and that is a repair. That is not a correction or a band-aid. It's a band-aid. Okay, we've got those. And then I noticed that this one over here, speaking of band-aids, this one over here, you can see how the water's coming down underneath this one. So we kind of got a little rusty water. So water's coming through this beam some kind of way. This beam is porous. Okay, notched up. We got a knot over here that's exposed, and we got the rust that's coming back up underneath here. It's just coming on down. So there's that. We do not have a screen, and this one's got one of those plates too, but they installed it behind. Okay, I'm catching on. Nothing gets past me eventually. And then we're coming over here, and then just kind of take it. We've been looking macro. No, let's look macro. Is that right? Macro and micro? But anyway, we've got negative drainage right in here. And we do not have rain gutters either, by the way. And I get it. I've talked to enough roofers. I've talked to enough builders. I've talked to enough realtors. I've talked to enough people to know that rain gutters are not required by code. They're not. Well, not exactly. All right. The International Residential Code says that the water runoff of your roof should be managed and directed to a storm sewer. They don't tell you how to do it. They don't say rain gutters, but they say it should be managed. And this is not managed. This is Wild Wild West. And then the Texas Housing Authority, 2015 version, and that was 2015 version International Residential Code too, by the way. 2015 version of the Texas Housing Authority says that every house should have rain gutters. Now, I might not agree with that, but nobody's paying me to have a conversation about it either. Every house should have rain gutters. Some roofs shouldn't have rain gutters, but that's not what the Texas Housing Authority says. The Texas Housing Authority says this house should have rain gutters. Every house. This is one of every. So it should have rain gutters. So rain gutters are required. It depends on how you read the code and how you interpret it and what code you are reading. But no, you should have rain gutters. Coming over here, we got a little bit of soffit damage. Right here is kind of peeling down. Got a little separation of our wall board right in there. And then, see these right here, speaking of soffits, these are soffit air intake vents. Okay? Soffit air intake vents. And if you saw when I was doing the attic video, I said I could not see any, I could only see exhaust air, I couldn't see any air intake. It's because these soffit vents do not have baffles installed in the attic. Over these vents, there should be corrugated R panel looking baffles that take the air over the insulation, through the insulation, over it. And so that way it can ventilate your attic like it's supposed to be. Without the soffit baffles, these vents are nominal at best, just an exercise. I got soffit vents. Okay, I guess you do. You got some of those soffit vents. These probably work all right over here. But no, without the baffles, just take this for example. See the ones closer to the ridge? Okay. Well, what's to keep them from just doing a short cycle right there? Just take the air in from there, the path of least resistance, and go to the turbines. You need something to force the air from the lower third of your attic out. This faucet is loose. This is the only exterior faucet I could find, by the way. This is where I took the water pressure. It's the only exterior faucet that I could find. Now, this faucet does not have an anti-siphon device. And I feel confident that there's a faucet in the front yard but I don't know that. So I had to write what I know, and I don't know that there's one there. But if there is one there, I feel confident that it will not have an anti-siphon device either. And over here is our gas meter. It's inside the fence, right there. Coming along here, we're starting to get a little bit of stair-step cracking starting to show up. We got a, I remember, we got a little erosion on the mortar right in there. And then over here, closer to the fence, we got a horizontal crack between the brick and mortar right in there. Horizontal crack, stair-step crack between the brick and mortar right there. That's how we do it. Now this is where the gas enters the house. This is the gas valve. Parallel is on, perpendicular is off. And see how this is rusting? Okay, it's time for it to be repainted. That should be painted to help prevent rust coming out of the system and compromising it. Going on in, our garage is the exterior, it's tape and bed. No GFCI like I said. But some of our tape and bed is getting loose here in the garage ceiling around this. Do some movement. We've gone here, we got Clever, we got some PVC that we're using as an electrical conduit. And if you have conduit, you're not supposed to have NM cable running through conduit. It's supposed to be the wires. Conduit's for the wires. So this is supposed to be run without conduit. And conduit, PVC should not be electrical conduit. And that goes to the lawn sprinkler on the other side. We got a whole video of the electric load center right there. And we're moving on in. We're coming on around. We're a mobbing and a groving. We got a little bit of separation right in here. We got a little bit of wood damage right there and there. A little bit of wood damage right there. This meter should have been sealed on 3 sides. This is where the lawn sprinkler control box is. Got a little bit of separation between the window and the brickwork right there. Coming over here, this is the first bedroom, middle bedroom, south bedroom. Stair-step cracks between the brick and mortar there. Stair-step cracks between the brick and mortar there. Coming along here, we got bushes too close to the structure. In the other video, I was talking about the condensing unit might be being too close to the wall, but it's not. It's 12 inches from the wall. So disregard that. I said that I was going to come back. I came back and I measured it. Bushes touching the house. Bushes shouldn't be touching the house. Coming on along. Wood mulch. We already had the wood mulch speech. Coming on along. We got stair-step cracks through the brick and mortar. Stair-step cracks through the brick and mortar. Coming on along. You know, I think I'm going to put a ladder up and see what the tops of these guys look like. Coming around here, stair-step cracks between the brick and mortar. High soil, wood mulch, wood rot. We got stair-step cracks between the brick and mortar going to the wood rot. We got these loose bricks right here. Go into the stair-step cracks, go into the wood rot. High soil, wood mulch. Got a little bit of repairs that have happened right in here. We can see that there's been some repairs. Stair-step cracks between the brick and mortar. Stair-step cracks between the brick and mortar. Those are repairs. But I'm gonna that'll make the report. You know, all this will make the report. This video is in the report. High soil again. Bushes touching the house. Bushes touches the house. And again, just like we started, all this flashing should have been turned in. All this flashing should have been sealed. We should have had kick-out flashing right there. See where all the water damage is happening? It's because we do not have kick-out flashing. If we had kick-out flashing, it would direct the water away from that spot. But that's not what's happening. And I can't get to or into the ash door for the fireplace. But if you want a chimney person, that's another story. Maybe another